"Where are you right now?" I asked my daughter. She gingerly replied, "Oh, anywhere is great." Annoyed, I barked back, "Get home, neneo." To which my daughter responded, "No way." Outside of the country by a landly distance. We will not be available for 3 more days. All she had to do was call me and tell me that my order would be delayed. But there was no sign of remorse when I called her. In contrast, she responded excitedly, laughing at herself. When I drove by my daughter's and son-in-law's house, there was a low cry for help that came out. It was a very small voice, my most beloved granddaughter's. I unlocked the door with my spare key and went in. What I found was that my 5-year-old grandchild had been tied with rope and buried deep in the closet. My precious grandchild had been put in harm's way thanks to the stupidity of my daughter and son-in-law, and things with them were now not good. I was so angry and decided that the only thing that mattered at this point was to make my daughter or son equals in-law pay for it. Whatever happened, I am a grandma. I was feeling incredibly lonely. Up until these cold days have forced me to stay at home, for the most part. You see, my husband died a few years ago, and I live by myself. We both remember when he died. It was so sad, and I felt really lonely for a long time. But a great joy now is my kinder grandchild, Lily. I haven't seen my daughter, Emily, and David much over the last couple of years. Once Lily was born, we visited them a lot less frequently. It turns out Lily is quite fond of me, despite being almost completely absentee as a grandmother. Every now and then, she'll add in a "I love you" story, Grandma. Every single time she does, it fills my heart with more love. So I end up buying her stuff and even giving her money. My nearest and dearest observe this as grandma spoiling, but I feel no regret. She is my only grandchild and quite frankly a gift you can never get again, forever. It is my life. The love for Lily fills me utterly. But at the same time, I have reservations. They are based around the way that my daughter and son-in-law parent. Frankly, I doubt Emily will ever put her own needs behind those of our child. And David, her husband, whatnot, doesn't much care for Lily. I thought my late husband and I were showering Emily with love when we raised her. That is why I wish to bitch about the current events the universe threw into Emily's life. But at the same time, I question whether it is my place to mess with their parenting. I feel like anything I say would just be giving my 2 cents, which likely won't be appreciated and they'll probably ignore me anyway. What is more, if Emily's release of stress from my yelling at her indirectly harms Lily, then it will be terrible. Given that, much as I hate to admit it, they are normal in every other way. Obviously, what Jay and Mrs. Nasty say must already work on some level with regards to discipline. Notwithstanding my reservations about the current state of children today not being held accountable for inappropriate behavior. It is true that I miss Lily and feel lonely for not seeing her there, but as far as it will go, I can always still be ISIT. They currently live in the house my late husband and I used to call home. When he passed away, it was getting difficult to take care of that big house by myself, and I gave them the title. That is why I have a second key too. On other days, I think to myself that it will be good if randomly at some time next week, the doorbell would ring and Mika's voice welcomed Lily. I visited my daughter and son-in-law's house one day after a long time. Their house is a long way from where I am at the moment, so it's not somewhere that I would go for fun on my own. Yeah, I had a purpose for visiting today. I attended as a guest of a friend nearby. This particular friend is a classmate from middle school that I assumed would join me in talking about old memories. However, I could not have predicted that the discussion would grow into a much more serious topic. Nana, do you know anything about Lily? But she's my granddaughter. How could I not know? Unknowingly to my own naivety, I answered frankly. No, that's not what I meant. Is Lily a victim of link fate? Huh. The impulsive response of my foolish voice, what do you mean? I gave in to finally hear the details from my friend. But as the story played out, I started to get this creeping feeling of unease. I dropped to my knees after listening everything. That Lily is going through something like that without me even knowing. My friend did her best to comfort me when she saw the resignation all over my face. Of course, we don't know for a fact. This is pure rumor mill, but then again, rumors did shape up to prove to be correct. Could you maybe drop by on your way back to their house? Apparently, Emily and David had been going out a lot these days, at least according to my buddy, with nights starting early in the morning only for them to come back as late at night. They do not, of course, take Lily. The result is a neighborhood rumor that they abandon their baby and head out for a play date as couple. Some have also noticed Lily spends hours out on the balcony. If concerned neighbors tried to speak with Lily, they usually received a confusing response from Emily. She's fine. She just loves the balcony. I recoiled at that descriptor with the thought my daughter and son-in-law had become them. I know I had brought up Emily the best way, but now all of a sudden when she grew it went totally wrong. A friend cautioned me to see how Lily was doing, so I went out the door with alacrity and drove over to my daughter and son-in-law's place. My fingers shaking a fraction, I rang the doorbell, but nobody showed up apart from an echo of the chime. Are they not home? I scoffed as I was about to leave the area. But audible on my part, thinking I heard something at that exact moment. Help! The voice was soft, and my hearing had grown worse as of late, so I rarely caught quiet sounds. I hesitated, unable to recognize it fully. Is someone there? I addressed the noise. No response. I must have heard wrong, I told myself as I walked away from the house. However, at last I heard her sing, "Help," as clear as day. My spine chilled. Lily could only be the source of that desperate cry. I must have simply misheard since I am such a doting grandmother. Under the circumstances, my daughter and her husband were probably enjoying dinner somewhere. But why would their child have called for help, even if she left them without a caregiver? Of course, my mind first jumps to worst-case scenarios, and I quickly unlocked an empty house. Lily, where are you? Through the system, I had been able to get my voice to her, and not too far off along came Lily's response. Grandma. Yes, it's Grandma. I'm here. Lily told me she was in the closet. My ass wrote a vetter. My worst fears had come true. Lily was in a tight soda can coil of rope inside the closet. Lily, how could this happen? In a frenzy, I clawed at the rope to get her loose as fast as possible, but damn it, those knots would not give. The constriction is immediately very tight and leaves almost no marks on Lily's skin. I managed to grab a pair of scissors nearby and cut her loose from the contraption. Why, family vacation with a twist. It would be 3 days before we are returning. The off. Naturally, I did not expect them to come back immediately, but hearing it from my daughter made me angry. Before I said anything else, Emily quickly cut me off and hung up saying, busy. I finally lost it with Emily. I looked down on those who would abandon their own child and just have fun for themselves. And from my own daughter, too. I may have had a lot of regretful parenting practices, and I think deep down in my soul felt like the worst wife ever. In this whirlpool of emotion, it was that frantic grab on my sleeve and furrowed brow by Lily which finally gave me pause for thought. Lily was weak and in desperate need of help, so I took her to the hospital as swift as possible. The doctor explained to her how she was almost at the point of catastrophic malnutrition, because while it was nothing urgent as of now, our Mom and Dad not here, Grandma." Her shaky voice seemed like a young bird also alarmed by an irritant from the outside world, either real or imagined. "They're not here. It's okay, you're safe now." Lily ran into my arms, sobbing inconsolably as I spoke. It didn't even matter that my clothes were disheveled. The truth was that my daughter and her husband had gone too far. They had done what must never be allowed to happen. I gently buried my rage deep inside, picking up Lily. Again, I examined her frail body and saw she had wasted away even more. It's possible that she hadn't been eating properly for days. It probably also true. Lily had faint dark marks all over her body, almost resembling bruises made by the rope. These could take some time to slowly fade. A rage sprung up within me then, and I called Emily. There was a pause, followed by the slowest voice ever coming through on that phone. "Oh no." She sounded slightly drunk. It bothered me to no end that she might drink while her daughter was clearly not well. I was boiling inside, but I tumbled out in a cold manner. "Where are you right now?" "Anywhere is fine." She didn't seem remorseful. That did nothing but irritate me further, rather than feel uplifted by it. "Emily, please be honest. Where are you?" She must have sensed my determination and told me. "We on family trip, overseas." A family vacation, but they left Lily locked in a closet. Family trip, how was this a family? I played along with her ploy to have Lily over. There was a slight dip in my daughter's mood, but her irritation to another one of those biting remarks came out subtly through the flavoring nuances. "Too bad. Hurry back home." "Why?" "Family vacation with a twist. It would be 3 days before we are returning." "The off." Naturally, I did not expect them to come back immediately, but hearing it from my daughter made me angry. Before I said anything else, Emily quickly cut me off and hung up saying, "Busy." I finally lost it with Emily. I looked down on those who would abandon their own child and just have fun for themselves. And from my own daughter, too. I may have had a lot of regretful parenting practices, and I think deep down in my soul felt like the worst wife ever. In this whirlpool of emotion, it was that frantic grab on my sleeve and furrowed brow by Lily, which finally gave me pause for thought. Lily was weak and in desperate need of help, so I took her to the hospital as swift as possible. The doctor explained to her how she was almost at the point of catastrophic malnutrition, because while it was nothing urgent as of now, I was relieved to hear that Lily had came through this unscathed. Then came the eruption of anger that was directed at my daughter and her husband. They had put my one and only grandchild at risk, therefore obviation. I decided my daughter and son-in-law needed to be held responsible, no matter what. To see just how far my daughter went is honestly sickening. She has never gone to this extreme before. The neighborhood gossip has it weighing somewhere, tipping into the category of not severe enough to make one look foolish, but all I can believe about my daughter is she would never risk that much. If Lily admitted that she was really abused, Emily would be ruined as well as David. However, I have to wonder why the desperation. With a good cause, I can have my daughter and son-in-law arrested for child abuse. And so, as painful and in many ways raw as it may be, I asked Lily to flesh out through email what had been somewhat of a vague, nebulous memory for me. Lily hesitantly shared, "Mom, one day I watched Mom come home with a man who was a stranger." The implication was obvious. Emily had an affair. My anguish deepened. Lily went on, "I said hello because I thought maybe he's one of Dad's friend and asked him not knowing anything, but then Mom got furious." Lily had shared obscure memories, and when combined, it would appear Emily was really having an affair. Under the threat of exposure, she had to stoop this low. So taking some action, immediately all just fit together. I immediately got in touch with lawyers and agencies to bring justice against the couple who hurt my Lily. And when I told Lily, "Don't worry, Dada will protect you," she cried and said, "I want to go live with Grandma." Her words touched me, and I vowed to never let this happen. Do I make my purpose clear? She will want for nothing greater than equals from the point forward, including someone to shoulder her burdens. It had been 3 days, and my daughter had come back from her trip with her husband consumed by the otherworldly experience. But we heard the voice of Emily offering that sounded like, "Hey, let's go on our trip again, guys." A strange feeling washed over them as they slotted the key into the lock. Try as they might, the door wouldn't even budge when turned. Emily puzzled, mumbling, "Shit, am I fucking up?" This confusion was shared by David, who questioned, "What's going on?" Emily became increasingly irritated when the key would do nothing of the sort. Then she looked down and saw a sign. It said, "Eversai." David looked to where she was staring and was equally surprised. "What on earth is happening?" he exclaimed. They both just stood there, clearly lost in the sauce. Then it hit Emily. "That old hag is responsible for this strange turn of events," she exclaimed. Emily grabbed her phone and called the number listed as "annoying old lady." "Hello, have you returned?" My voice, an octave above what I'd call mama trauma octave-ish on the scale of mentally through the phone and high-pitched enough to echo back through it. Emily vented out in a burst of anger. I guess all the frustration got to her. "What the hell? Phones call us. Why is our house on the market? Did you do this? It's unbelievable." I chuckled, except that it was not a laughter from the phone. It emanated from behind her. All I could do was smirk back at Emily when she finally turned around from her door-opening duties. "Emily, I am so disappointed in you. I've always been skeptical of your parenting, but I never thought it would get to this level." I scolded as calmly as possible. "Huh? What are you talking about? You said you were vacationing with family overseas, didn't you? Where's Lily? Shouldn't she be with you?" When the only thing alive next to her was a husband, Emily suddenly broke into sweat before spreading out. "Well, Lily went over to drop off cookies at a friend's." She fluently let it go. "Really?" I asked, signaling for Lily to come out from behind me. Emily went stark white and clung to my legs. "Lily, why are you here? Why are you here? Emily, you tied Lily up with ropes and put her in the closet. You're truly despicable." As usual, rejected to continue. "Why would you do that?" Emily saw she had been busted and tried making up excuses. "What do you know? Parenting is tough. You got to do it sometimes for them, so they learn. Parenting is hard, truly it is. My stupid daughter would have maybe been a slight bit better if only she learned her lessons from you." I spat out sarcastically. Emily fell silent. David, who was usually a quiet person, expressed his grievance asking, "Why sell the house?" "What's going on?" "Because you didn't transfer the ownership when you took over. Then legally this house still belongs to me. It is my property. Take note that I can sell it if I feel like." Emily trembled. "So where are we gonna go live then?" The parents were too benumbed to be even worried about their child. "Are you then not concerned about your own child?" They looked uncomfortable as I gave them my serious teacher voice. "So Lily takes refuge under you." "No problem," Emily said with their typical coldness, which was something that made me angry. I sighed. Emily had managed to achieve a mix of shock and disbelief. An effect Kodak, hip-hop legend with decades-old criminal convictions, was seeking out so that he could make his point clear about current rap music. "When you were gone at gallivanting, I went to CPS and lawyers and law enforcement. I have a transfer of custody for Lily." They did not look sad, oddly pleased instead. "Really? Like so we never have to parent again." Fantastic. Every now and then, you save something as well, don't ya? David did not reply, but he nodded sheepishly. But this shit gets real here. And I knew that the very announcement of this news would make them feel good, so it was time for me to finally get my revenge. Hard to change custody, right? You may not be dumb, so you get the point. Particles they did not appear to take me as gazelle's kazoo generate dark matter magneto sear continent antenna horn prongs, sever crossed fingers think isks even sit down. Shit, I just asked Child Protective Services to sort me out, and they went ahead and with a 5-0 over something nothing at all. It had happened so quickly their faces went white. I gave them a sweet little smile, as for you too, to think back to the days in prison. Then she exclaimed, "Hold up. This is bad. We need to escape." Unable to keep his emotions in check any longer, David hollered, "We have to go." "Calm down. It is not going to instantly eat us or anything." They were both obviously peeved, so I thought, what the heck. David Lily did not get a tag in by Emily this time. She was going to be caught serial humping. By the way, David was dumbfounded as I spoke at first, but he soon went red and lunged for Emily. "What do you mean? You were having an affair?" "Calm down. This old hag is straight up saying things out of nowhere." Emily did everything she could to make him feel better. Emily tried her best to pacify David, but he was clearly still upset. And then I said, "Oh, and you know who she was having an affair with. Her high school classmate, Ethan, the guy next door, you know." Emily clenched her jaw. "How do you know all this?" She accidentally exposed the affair when she blurted out. The fury in David had grown hot. He was now chastising her. He was practically apoplectic and raged to form sentences. It was pretty funny to see how much it set him off, and I had more. By the way, Ethan is a married man. His wife found out and was fuming. She even threatened with a lawsuit for damages. Emily fell silent. Understandably so. She had to find a new place, lie to the cops about how he came by that brake line job, and prepare herself for one massive alimony check. The police matter was almost anticlimactic. Of course she would be arrested. It is the lowest point of her life at present, still couldn't make up for what she did to Lily. I made my mind up to do one last crippling thing. So I ended up hiring an attorney to look into different things. We found out that Emily was using the money I sent to provide for Lily. Both of you ought to have saved hundreds of thousands, but apparently the two of you squandered it. It seems they even paid for the recent trip expenses. I looked at Emily, who seemed so defeated. David, the guy who was unruffled still till now, just flinched at my words. "Well, I have to, so therefore going to make a claim," I said, adding just a touch of sarcasm, and then I saw red and let out one final parting shot stating that enough was really enough, for which Emily unleashed a tirade of her own. "How can you do this to your own daughter? Unbelievable. The worst parent in the whole wide world." My response, "I was going to tell you the same thing." Emily felt her anger start to rise, but she had done it to herself. I never ever would have thought my own daughter could stoop so low. In the end, they were convicted of child abuse and went to jail. They had ironically discussed breaking up over Emily's infidelity just a week before, and here they were both on their way to prison. They were drowning in debt due to the alimony, adjacent claims from his affair, and repayment of misusing my financial support. Because David was fired as a result of the guilty sentence, he and Sarah fell into $160,000 in debt payments that they would never be able to pay off without any major income source. I was all over the place with my emotions, but that is due to them being at fault in having brought it on. Hopefully they reflect and improve. Meanwhile, I am over here all like new life with Lily, of course. At first, she had a difficult time adjusting to living in her own, and with only Grandma the fear of repeated violence continued to haunt. But ours and my neighboring made her say so with slight smile coming back to her face. Lily repeatedly tells her grandmother, "Thank you for helping me." Of course I have to help her given the situation, but even still, feel bad for not helping prior till things escalated like they did. It is heartwarming to see her smile with true gratitude. Now my days will be spent with Lily. They may not be big days, but each one I hold dear.